I don't know if I had confidence before this program. And that is the complete honest answer. I've been someone who, since I was a very young child, who's been on stage performing in various ways through theater. I come from a really musical family. I play in a number of bands now in Toronto. I'm quite musical myself, so that is something that I love to do. I've taken classes at Second City to do improv comedy, all of these things that suggest that I'm a confident person. By no means do I identify as one. I'm very introverted and generally pretty quiet.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of your acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director in the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie so we can dive deep into your acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence. So we're starting a new series here on the Clear Skin Chronicles, and it's called Real Skin, Real Journeys. And I'm really excited about this series because it was actually a community request. This was a request not only from those in our social media communities, but actually even clients that we had. Everyone was asking, I would absolutely love to hear the journeys and the stories of clients that you've worked with. You know, what were they struggling with before? What was it like for them to overcome their acne? So we're kicking it off with one of our lovely former clients, Tessa, who is actually now an acne advisor here at KSW. So it's been such a joy, Tessa, to watch your journey through dealing with your skin, you know, your journey through clearing it, and now being a part of our team, which we absolutely love. And you actually had Chris as a coach when Chris was still taking clients. So it's going to be a fun one today because you came on and, you know, you get to talk, Tessa, to a lot of potential clients that are looking to work with us. And you were saying how everyone was loving the podcast and how they think Chris is hilarious and we need to let her run with it a little bit more. So today, I'm going to loosen the reins on Chris Brown a little bit. Be careful what you wish for, everybody. You may be regretting your decision, and Tessa's going to start getting people saying, Katie, rein it in a little bit more on Chris.
No way. People love Chris Brown.
People love Chris Brown. How can you not? All right, Chris, you want to know what? I did a good intro. So I think I'm going to just, like I said, hands off the reins.
Yeah, we're going to stop talking about that. So
I know it makes her cringe on the inside. This is why
it does. All right. So Tessa, totally, you know, we're unscripted, right? And that can make people nervous, but we do it because we want authenticity. And when you came into the Clear Skin Solution, I vividly remember a girl that was like, oh my goodness. Oh my. Can I do this? Chris, I can't do this. Can I do this? Chris, I can't do this, right? So let's go back to that moment. And I really want, when you started, what were those feelings?
Yeah, it's honestly hard to remember because it feels so long ago at this point. My journey started over almost 2 years ago at this point. And honestly, I came into this program after coming off of birth control and feeling just for the first time really out of control in my body. I didn't recognize the symptoms that I was experiencing. I had never had skin issues in this way before, where I was trying so many different things, so many different topicals, and just having absolutely no reaction, no relief from any of those things. It felt very strange, like something unusual was going on I hadn't experienced before. So when I came to find this program and the work that you guys preach and that you know inside and out, this world of holistic nutrition and functional medicine, that was completely new for me. I had known nothing of this world previously. So when I was starting to learn all of it, I was really excited about it. I felt like, okay, this is something that logically makes sense, that if you clean up your body internally from the inside out, that it can really help with this external symptom that I'm dealing with now that I had never had before. But yeah, it felt a little overwhelming at first. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't something I was at all familiar with. So it took a little time to kind of get comfortable with this new world and this new way of thinking about how to approach my health. And it was also really the first time that I, as an adult, had taken a real interest in my health in any sort of way. So I think it was a combination of factors all at once, but you were so supportive emotionally and were so patient with me as I really just got comfortable over time with all of this information and tried to absorb it as best I could and implement it. So I will forever preach how endlessly grateful I am for Chris Brown, even if it makes you uncomfortable. I'm still going to do it.
Her face is going crimson red. I love it. Keep it up, Tessa. The more compliments, the better, because it makes her physically uncomfortable.
Oh, you see that? You see that, Tessa? You're on my screen. You're smack middle between Katie and I, right? And that's like, I think there's going to be some referee moments for you here.
Oh, yeah. She'll have to referee a bit. So now I want to ask Tessa, because you said this was a totally new world to you. So I would love to hear a little bit about, how long had you been dealing with your acne for? How was it impacting your life? And like, what were some of the things that you had already tried to clear it up?
Mm-hmm. So during COVID was when I decided to go off of birth control, mainly because it felt difficult to go in and see my doctor at that point. So I was like, you know what, this is a good time. I'm just going to do a science experiment on myself and see what happens. I had no idea.
We love that, by the way. We love science experiments.
Love a good science experiment.
If ever I'm going to do this feels like the right time. I had no idea what to expect at all. And it took about, I'd say probably 6 months to a year post coming off of birth control to find that my skin was starting to behave differently in a way that I didn't recognize. And in terms of what I tried, I feel like I just tried a million different topicals. Really was the approach that I had grown up using that my whole life. When I was a teenager and I had, I would say, minor issues with acne. It wasn't anything significant. I didn't have cystic acne. It wasn't something that really impacted my life in a significant way, but it was something that I thought was just a normal part of being a teenager. That certainly was the narrative I had always heard and believed. But when I came off of birth control was really when I realized, okay, something different is going on here. It's painful. It's not going away. It's not budging at all. It's staying in the same kind of areas on my face. And I didn't so much go the route of going to any dermatologist, anything like that, but I did find a lot of information myself online. I was the person guilty of doing online Googling of how to balance your hormones, and felt like I was going to be able to teach myself how to do this and just collect as much information as possible. There's certainly, if you go out and look for it, there's a whole lot of information out there for people trying to educate you on how to have the best results and how to clear your skin and how to take care of your body. But it can be very confusing and a lot of conflicting information. You don't know what's really true, what's going to be helpful for you, what's going to be the healthiest for your body. So I tried a few self-study programs myself, and truthfully, and I did not have a ton of success with that route, mainly because I think I am someone who needs to have that support and guidance along the way and have that person to hold you accountable. I cannot express how important that ended up being in my journey, as Chris can certainly attest to. But yeah, I had ordered an HTMA test through another program and didn't have any interpretation along with it, and found the results of that are just not very intuitive. It's not easy for someone coming in blind to know how to take that information and heal their own body. So I tried that. I looked into how important it was to really take care of your mineral levels in your body and all of those various things. That was really the route that I had gone. So I was kind of finding that I was generating this curiosity around how to heal internally. So that's kind of how I started to find this world and find this program, because I was hearing about it more and more, but it was something that still felt foreign and I didn't know much about it.
It's like you were doing all the right things, right? You were, it's almost like you were tiptoeing around the things, but you just didn't have, of course, like the training and the background in it to be able to kind of piece it all together. Because I love that you know, even on your own, you're like, okay, I'm doing research, I'm going to get better. I can see that something's going on. I have to look internally, you know, getting it, like even looking at functional labs, because we have so many women saying like, I've done functional labs before, but my skin still isn't clear. And it comes down to the fact that if, you know, you don't know how to interpret them properly, or you don't have proper interpretation done for you, then you're just left with a blank piece of paper where you don't really get anything from it. So it's, I can see, like, as you're telling this journey, I can see how your brain's starting to like change, switch gears almost. And then you were just really trying to figure out a way to bring all of it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I love how you also reference this world, because often, and when you start this journey, Katie started this journey, I started this journey, obviously we have an education in it, we built on it, all of these things, you do feel like you're in a different world, right? It's like you have somebody telling you, start drinking water, avoid water with, and you're like, how do I not know these simple things? Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not so simple, asking somebody to drink water as much as you think. You have to build on it, right? As you went through the program and you're building on your skills. What do you think, this is going to be a big one, okay? Like, it's going to tackle some brain cells here. What do you think the biggest message was, your take home, like the one that resonated with you the most, or the one that you felt supported you the most?
Oh, Chris Brown. That's a good question. Honestly, the thing that's just coming to the top of my mind is, you are worth this. You're worth this work. There were many days when I walked down the street and looked at the sky and said, come on, Chris Brown, let me
eat X, Y, and Z.
Let me have coffee again.
I'm not sure how I got faulted for that one, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, in a good way. I had many conversations with Chris over time. It really became about that kind of personal relationship and having someone there at all times that you knew that you could fall back on when you need them, when you need the accountability, when you need someone to kind of hold your hand. Chris over time was delivering the same message. It just took a really long time for it to hit me. And I think over time it just kind of seeped in gradually that these things that you're doing, you are worth this experience. You're worth the effort that you're putting in. You're worth the time that it's going to take. It might take longer than you think it will, or than you hope it will, but what you're doing is for a greater purpose. And she helped to just reinforce that for me over time. And as I said, I really did come into this program as someone who, like many of the women who I now speak to every day who are interested in this work, really put their health absolutely last on the list for a very, very long time. And for me, this was my first experience in my 30s of really finding a way to care for my body properly, finding a way to eat properly for my body. I didn't know how to do that previously in any sense, and was very open with the team in terms of when I joined the program, but I came from a long history of eating disorders and years following of disordered eating, and trying to always kind of be my own doctor, be my own therapist, be my own guide. And that wasn't serving me very well in the end, because I felt like I was a healthy person, and I came into this program and realized there's a lot of things that I could be doing differently that would be getting me much better results. And I think what was happening in my body when I came off of birth control was just a total wake-up call. Ultimately, it was saying, no, you're not in control, and there are some things here that you need to address that I had just been silencing for a long time. So Chris's continuous message of, you know what, you're worth this work that you're putting in, as hard as it might seem, was really important. And that's what I walked away with. I think that was most important.
Yeah, I think that's a really great message to share, because like you said, is so many people don't feel worthy of the help, whether it's a conscious or subconscious. It's like something in them is saying, you know, I'm not worthy. I need to be helping these people over here. Especially I find for like a lot of women, and especially a lot of moms, it's like you're always the last on the list. You're helping this slew of family members, you know, your work, your colleagues, your pet, your kids. and then there's nothing left for you at the end of the day. And then you're like, that's just the way it's got to be. It has to be this way, because by putting myself first, that's being selfish. But in fact, it's not. Putting yourself first is so important because you need that support. And if you're constantly running on this empty tank day after day, it's going to be extremely difficult to support those people in your life. So by you feeling better, you're going to be able to show up better for those people in your life.
Yeah, I want to give Tessa a gold star right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I agree.
Tessa,
I don't even think we need to be here. I think she could do this whole podcast.
She could do this herself. However, you said, I'm worth it and how I can do things differently to support myself. Mm-hmm. And for months when you first came in, you would ask me, what does it take to be better? Now you're saying, I understand what it takes and what I need to apply differently because it wasn't working. So that's releasing the shame and the guilt and the judgment, right? That's refining our words. That is right there. That is a big, big word called also confidence. Mm-hmm. So gold star.
Thanks, Chris.
Katie's going to take it away. So
I would
tight.
never take Tessa's gold star away.
Is that just for me?
It's just for you and Paige. Tessa keeps her stars. Don't
Tessa,
even.
You keep your stars. But that's something. Let's tackle confidence for a second. Mm-hmm. Because it's just like all warm and fuzzy. Because one time you sent me a message on Chris, I now realize I have my confidence back. Mm-hmm. So can you just explain that, it's not, of course it's a journey. I don't need the whole journey because I don't want you to dig too personally, you are sharing with everybody listening. However, what was that confidence? Where was your confidence when you came in? And at that moment when you messaged me like, I have my confidence back, I know it because you had done something very special. How does that look?
Honestly, I don't know if I had confidence before this program. Mm-hmm. And that is the complete honest answer. I've been someone who, since I was a very young child, who's been on stage performing in various ways through theater. I come from a really musical family. I play in a number of bands now in Toronto. I'm quite musical myself. So that is something that I love to do. I've taken classes at Second City to do improv comedy, all of these things that suggest that I'm a confident person. By no means do I identify as one. I'm very introverted and generally pretty quiet. But the way that I felt coming out of this program was so different than how it was coming in. A part of what drew me to this program to begin with was that I was going on stage at night and had bright lights on me and my skin, and I felt like I just wanted to hide from everyone in the room. I didn't want any kind of additional attention put on myself or the way that I was feeling at that moment in time. And coming through this experience and just gradually starting to develop, without even realizing it, this greater respect for myself and this kind of respect for my body that ran so deep. Of now I care so deeply about what I put in my body, what I put on my body, what I'm exposed to, and like how I'm spending my time, all of those things, because I started to see how it was really working for me. It really changed how I approached everything in my life. And I now feel like before this program, would hide all of the time. I was hiding my body. I obviously was really struggling with eating disorders and didn't want to be seen for that reason as well. And then the skin on top of it, it was just a situation where I didn't want eyes on me at all. And I started pursuing more opportunities for shows as I was getting more comfortable in my skin over the course of this process. And I think I shared a video with Chris. I had a big show at the El Macombo in Toronto where there were like 200 people in the room, and I felt just a lot more free than I ever had in any previous experience. And I was like just noticing I move differently, I interact with the world differently. It was a natural thing that started to shine through, and that is not something I ever could have anticipated. And it's something I will take away and cherish forever as a part of this deeper work that I did with all of you.
And like that actually brings tears to my eyes because I remember you sharing this video with Chris, and our company uses Slack behind the scenes to chat. And Chris is like, "Oh my God, Katie, you need to see this video that Tessa shared with me. Here's her message. She said this is the first time she was on stage and felt confident and didn't think about her skin." And you're a very talented performer. I remember watching it and being like, the fact that your skin and your confidence had been holding the world back from this gift that you have to share with everybody, it like made my heart ache on one half, but then on the other half it made me so happy that you now had the confidence to go and stand in front of that room of 200 people and actually embrace the amazing person that you are. It was a really incredible share.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, that is the biggest thing I walked away with. I feel like other than just this deeper respect for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I have confidence now. I don't think I used to.
And I love that you use the word respect. And I know Chris was going to jump on this word as well because we equally love it. Because that's exactly what you're doing is when you're taking care of your body, it is about showing self-respect for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was when I was a teenager, like I did not show my body respect. I was eating horribly and partying and doing all of these things. And when you start to do, like you said, that deeper work, it is such an incredibly powerful form of respect that you're showing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just in addition to that, a big issue that I struggled with during my time in the program, Chris will definitely speak up about this, was stress management. And it was just something that along with, I know a number of other women, just kind of want to skip that part. I didn't want to address it. I wanted to say, you know what? No, I can be great at all of the other things that you're telling me to do. I can really pay attention to drinking enough water, and I can eat really clean, and I can prepare my food in advance and get myself on track. But no, I don't want to sleep more. And no, I don't want to go outside and take walks in the middle of the day, even though it helps me. And I know that it helps me. Once I started to actually listen, it worked. And I knew that it would. I think I just had a resistance to following that advice for a long time because I was being stubborn about it. And again, just was so used to putting myself last and not caring about it and being like, well, I have this list of things I have to do today that's more important than me going outside and walking and getting sunlight in the morning and all of these things that ended up being the game changer in the end. So that was a fun wake up call for me to realize you have to have full respect for yourself in that way too. Like sleep and taking care of your stress, that's a big part of it. As much as you might not want to address it, it's really important. And when your coach says it's important, it's because it really is. It matters.
Thank you, Tessa, because Chris and I are up here preaching sleep and stress, and everyone's like, no, I don't need to sleep. I don't need to reduce my stress. But I love that you said it really creates these massive shifts in your health, and it is another form of self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Tessa, I'm gonna do another one here, right?
Here she goes.
I'm gonna do another one.
Here she goes, everybody.
Because, I want to bring up the words fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a 2-month fear of missing out. It wasn't a 3-month fear of missing out. It wasn't a 5-month fear of missing out. That's something we worked on constantly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let us know what the fear of missing out did, how it played on you, the psyche, the emotional, and then at what point did you realize, wait a minute, am I really missing out, or do I have opportunities?
Yeah, I gave Chris a really hard time around substances that I feel like I was used to using as a crutch in my life. And I still have these conversations with myself a little bit today. I'm not going to say that is completely gone, but I had never really had to have an extended break before from coffee or from alcohol and these things that I just kind of used to get through the day as a really stressed out, maxed out person all the time, and really relied on those things to put me in another state so that I could deal with my life just as it was at the time. And I didn't put any amount of attention into preparing proper food for myself in advance and just setting myself up for success in other ways where I didn't need those things to rely on quite to the extent that I used to. So I'm still doing my best to implement all of the things that I've learned, but I feel just inside and out like a different person in a way that just became really natural. And that is the greatest thing about it. It took time to learn all of this information and to have it be incorporated into my life in a way that just does feel this natural, but it is a part of who I am now because I just have this deeper understanding of why I made those changes in the first place and why I'm putting in the amount of time I am to prepare myself for success because I've seen how much it works. So I definitely, yes, I had a fear of missing out around giving up certain things for a period of time, but it taught me that I didn't really need it as much as I wanted it. I'm capable of showing up as a different person, unaltered, who can just enjoy life because I'm taking care of myself and I'm around people. But it just showed me how I can show up differently without the help of other things. I had never really tried that before. So it was a mindset shift.
I think that's so powerful, and I'm glad you brought that up, Chris, because you're not the only one that has that, the FOMO, the fear of missing out of, well, it's the holidays and I have to be able to drink, or it's summertime, I have to be able to have, a cocktail on the patio. I have to be able to, go and get coffee with my girlfriends. And it's all of these things that in our brain it's almost like we're putting them up as obstacles or roadblocks in our path. And for you, did you ever have, a fear of failure or even a fear of success? Because sometimes people even have a fear of success.
That's a really good question. I think I definitely did have a fear of success, and I didn't realize it was that, but I was just pushing back so much on going the extra mile when I already was putting so much time and energy in. And I was like, I know that I can see bigger shifts than this. I know I can probably be progressing slightly faster than I am. I think there were moments where I would just kind of hit a plateau because it was a more stressful month and I was suddenly putting a little bit less energy into prepping meals in advance and was just a little bit less on top of things from time to time in certain months, and did notice a difference. So yeah, I think I pushed back on really seeing how successful I could be. I think I was just really comfortable living in the state that I'd lived in for 30 years and didn't know, as I said, just because this world felt so new and different, and that's always scary. Change is scary. I didn't really trust it fully the whole time and trust fully the words that I was hearing about the things I needed to do to feel the way that I wanted to feel. And again, over time, that message just kind of seeped in, and on my own timeline, I was able to follow that advice and see, okay, Chris Brown knows what she's talking about. I didn't think she knew what she was talking about. I just don't think I wanted to listen all the time. But yeah, the fear of success is real, but I'm glad in the end I realized that she was right.
And you want to, even I sometimes don't want to listen to Chris Brown, so don't worry, we're in good company.
All right, people. Well, on that note, I'm just going to take over here. The other thing I just wanted to say is Tessa's environment was she worked a full-time job and then she would go into the clubs and perform.
Which is another full-time job.
And she wasn't able to see that she needed that dinner because it was a go, go, go. And once we started shifting how she ate and worked within her schedule, that was a big deal. Because if I said to Tessa, hey, listen, you got to pick one or the other, she's going to say, that doesn't work. So we have to go within clients, in their environment, what they're doing,
their lifestyle,
where they are. Absolutely. Right. And the other thing is the band after performing would go to the bar.
It's a lifestyle.
And hang out. And Tessa's like, Chris, I don't know what to do. I can't hang out. I can't hang out with them because they're drinking and I can't drink. And I said, well, can you drink? And she's like, well, you say I can't drink. And I said, well, that's true. I said, it's not advisable. And I said, but is it really true you can't drink? Or is it for now, you're opting not to drink?
Having water with lemon.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or mocktails.
Yeah, a mocktail, bubbly water.
Yes, right? So really, when you switch and gear on how we do things, you don't have to miss out. Isn't that true, Tessa? There's no reason to miss out unless, one, we're not having conversations with the people around us. And when we have skin, is it not accurate? Not for all cases, but large majority, we don't want to talk about, oh, I'm in a skin program because we get flares and we don't want to have it, everybody look at it. I'm a big person that we don't tell people we're in it for acne. We tell people, you know what? I have horrible bloating and I feel 6 months pregnant. Everybody understands that. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, what do you mean that's not normal? Right? It's not normal, by the way.
Yeah, bloating is not normal. There's something going on.
It's a hard no.
It's common, but not normal.
It's very common. And you know what? I don't know how many women go, I love my bloat. It's so sexy. Right?
I'd rather have a migraine than be bloated.
Okay, that's hardcore.
I'm just kidding. I hate migraines. They're the literal.
I'm opting out of both. I'm just saying. I'm not accepting either universe. Listen to that.
But
go ahead.
You're bringing back a memory for me, Chris, which was, you're right. I did spend a lot of time in those kind of environments, and that certainly made it more difficult. I think if I was told, okay, you should probably avoid alcohol for 6 months, and you just avoid those places, it would have made my life a lot easier. But I was in those environments all the time, a few times a week. It was a test for me. It was a personal test. And what I walked away from, or what I walked away with, was I found out how strong I am and how much I can commit to something if I care about it. And I decided to care about it. And I was surrounded by people who didn't understand what I was doing or why. And I was surrounded by 4 guys in a band who could in no way relate to my experience, who, you're absolutely right, I did not want to explain the situation to them. I didn't want to tell them, oh yeah, birth control can sometimes be a little tricky in terms of what it does to your body. So that was a fun challenge for me, but it really did. It taught me how strong I can be, how much I can commit to something, how dedicated I could be. It was the only experience in my life that I feel like I gave this much dedication to something over such a long period of time. And I continued my work past the program and extended my work with you because I wanted to keep going, because I felt like, yeah, I was worth it. I put in the time already. I wanted to keep going and keep working on this. And I knew that I could improve my situation more. And I knew also that I was coming in probably with more issues than some, just based off of my long history of not treating myself well and not feeding my body properly, and knew that I had some work to do. But yeah, being in that environment was certainly tricky. So you helped me to see that I could show up as a different person that I had never tried to be before, one who didn't rely on a crutch, and I could just be myself and learn how to be social in that way and make friends in that way. And it still worked. So that was just an interesting experience to see that I can still do those things without the things I felt like I needed.
Now, I kind of want to interview both of you because I have questions for both of you. Is that okay?
How does that work?
Yeah. Well, because here's I think it's been so powerful to listen to really the mindset component, the confidence, the self-worth, the self-respect. Like, these are all such massive conversations that are so, so important that is rarely talked about, not just acne, but in any healing journey. So this has been such a powerful talk. And now, both for Tessa and Chris, I would love for us to be able to dig into, well, Tessa, were there other symptoms outside of your acne that you had just thought was part of being you? And then Chris, my question for you is, when you got into Tessa's file, we're looking at the interpreted H2MA labs, we're seeing what's going on. What were those imbalances in her body that she had been missing beforehand? And then what was her journey like? Like, what were the steps she needed to take throughout her time with us in order to get to where she is now?
Tessa can go first, and I'm going to need a replay of that question, but I think I have it. Okay.
Don't worry. I'll replay it. We'll start with Tessa.
Yeah, I definitely came in with other symptoms as well. I truthfully did not realize that it was so connected to my acne when I came in. So that's something that I got to understand much better over time. The biggest thing I would say was energy. Like I woke up exhausted. I felt like I was sleeping somewhat normally, but I was just like constantly feeling like I was a zombie all day long. And I was thinking this can't be normal. Also just was like extremely thirsty all the time, was drinking water constantly and didn't understand why I needed so much water than other people. It wasn't seeming to work. I definitely had digestive issues. Felt like my hair was really thinning, and that made me really sad as a woman. That's kind of an important thing for us, apparently. So there were a number of other things going on. But I didn't realize it was connected until going through this experience and learning from Chris.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible, especially so many of our clients come in with thinning hair and they're like, not only do I have acne, my hair is thinning and all of these things are happening. And, it comes back to that like self-worth piece. So Chris, Tessa comes in, we get our hands on her file, you see her health history, we get her interpreted HTMA results. What really were those imbalances that were underlying that she just wasn't getting at?
So like, this is my sexy talk right here, isn't it?
I know. I think I could just like head out, go to the bathroom, get a coffee. Matcha, sorry.
Well, Tessa will get a matcha with you because you converted her.
Yes, I love another.
Yeah, she's team matcha. So
welcome to the cult. Welcome to the cult.
So the thing is Tessa mentioned something very specific here. She goes, I was excessively thirsty. And we can find that when somebody has an imbalance in calcium. So when calcium is elevated, or biounavailable, we call it, not only can it interfere, obviously, with magnesium and potassium and, right? Like, don't get me started on all these interconnections. However, that's one there. When calcium and magnesium, if you have some barium and they were prevalent, it's more of an acidic-like nature. So that alcohol and that coffee that Tessa was talking about, that lifestyle where it was go, go, go and missing meals wasn't resonating, because either the minerals were becoming biounavailable or so uberly depleted that it was really hard. And Tessa was more vegetarian based. Right? So usually we tend to see lower calcium and magnesium or lower minerals. Why would she have excessive calcium? Doesn't make sense. So we go back to that acidic-like pattern. We go back to do we have any histories of UTIs, yeast infections? Do we have any histories of fungals? Do we have any histories of anxiety? Because when our blood sugar is not balanced out, we know we're going to be outputting all that cortisol and that stress hormone. We're not going to feel good. It spikes it up. Digestion goes off. Bacteria. It's like a haven. If you can't convert your cortisol into glycogen in the liver, it becomes candy to the things we don't want to feed. So, and that's what I just want to share. So where on paper, let's say the stress-like response looked okay, there was underwater, which was causing a stress response, the imbalance of the nutrients, even mainly cofactors, that you're going to see things like zinc and copper. What about birth control and extra estrogen? Oh my. So no wonder when she was taking the estrogen pill, I call it. So when she's taking that estrogen pill, it synthetically produces or manufactures hormones your body already can take care of. So I get it, we're doing it not to have babies, but at what cost? Because copper drives up. And Tessa, let me just go through a couple symptoms and tell me check, 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 or no, no, no. We can have, I call it psychological warfare, right? Where we're stuck in our head. We have more driven of that anxiety-like behavior, the mood shifts, the skin issues, PMS, right? Just really high emotions, digestive issues, maybe fats don't make us feel so good.
All of those things. Yep.
That's just based on copper not being bioavailable.
Mm-hmm.
So I truly, and Katie, you appreciate this, especially if the coach is inside the Clear Skin Solution, is I tell them that big, huge honking book that we studied that had a ton of minerals, go in there, know them and love them. Because once you start understanding the language of the minerals, because they all have personalities, then when somebody says, I have excessive thirst, or I have leg cramps, or you know what, around my menses, I'm ready to rage. Then, or you know what, I have bloat. Now you can start to look at things like molybdenum, copper, and zinc. And then I'm going to say, you know what, are you fatigued? Yeah, because your copper's not there. Guess what? You're interfering with your iron. So long story short is, Katie, it's really easy when you know minerals. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about reading HTMAs because we leave those to the professionals and the doctors. I'm saying you can look at these, and from a food standpoint, because we did a lot of food, right, Tessa? I wanted food in. I kept saying, I want more food in. But Chris, I don't know, more food in, right? It's not always about just taking food and ripping it away from people. It's like, we need to get food in.
And I want to add to this, because of Tessa's history with disordered eating, how did the two of you approach this? Because we get a number of clients that have a history of different types of disordered eating, and we have to approach these clients in a much different way because of this history. So what were some of those tactics and strategies that you utilized?
I think the first thing was when I really told Chris about this history early on in our conversations, she was saying, you know, maybe doing food journals isn't a good idea for you. And I did really appreciate that piece. I think it would have started to make it feel different than I guess I wanted it to feel. It would have felt somewhat destructive for me to get really granular about everything that I was eating that day. I feel like that may have been a negative experience more so than a positive, where most of our conversations after that became about foods that you're adding in and things that you can add to your diet instead of take away. And the language that the team uses is really careful around that, of saying, you know, you're not restricting yourself, you're not taking things away. This is about what we can add in. And yes, there might be periods of time when it's recommended that you take a little breather from certain things so that you can work on your health goals, but it is a temporary thing. And we were very open in terms of how we communicated around all of that. And Chris was always gauging my comfort levels around all of that and was just really, really good at navigating that with me. So I felt like she was very caring and sensitive in that way. But yeah, I can understand how you do need to approach that a little bit differently. I think it's helpful for some people to be logging their food that they're eating every day and the symptoms that they're getting from it. We just did it a little bit differently so that I could continue with a positive mindset instead of going into that more negative space that I was used to.
Absolutely. Because, you know, when Chris, you're looking at those deeper imbalances that she had, what was really that journey of protocols that the two of you took her through together?
Tessa's whole time with me, I went on the premise, and this is Tessa, so I might not take this from somebody else, but I always I have a nutrition assistant and we're team coffee, right? I love to look at it as a team dynamic. So with Tessa, we took commitment over control. And what that means is someone with disordered eating, or someone with higher anxiety, or someone with, like Tessa said, I don't know if I had confidence. You know, when you're coaching, you know if somebody has confidence. You don't say it, but you know it because it's how they display themselves. So knowing that, it's being able to say, okay, I don't want her to fixate, and I don't want her to be in deprivation, and I don't want her to already judge herself because she has a pattern that's easy to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to find things Tessa could commit to in small, tangible steps so she can build her self-worth, her commitment, and then identify how powerful it is, because what's going to happen? Energy, mood, bowels, sleep. You know, I always preach about those four. Those are true. If I can't get you those 4 in 4 weeks, I'm going to go work at Starbucks because I can. And it's not because I can, it's because the tools and the resources, when you properly assess somebody, you give them, you support them, they have motivation and they do it. So I know Tessa's given me a ton of credit here. I have to give it all to Tessa because really you tapped into my brain. I'm like maple syrup. That's what I'm going to call myself. Like maple syrup. You tapped into that tree. The maple syrup came out, but guess who got the fruit of that labor? Right? You had to learn how to tap into the tree. You had to learn what time. You had to learn what trees. You know what I mean? You had to learn how to make it into maple syrup. That it's an extensive process. If anybody's ever been to a maple syrup farm, let me tell you. I'm like, what do you mean? It just doesn't come in bottles? No, it's a whole process. So Tessa was able to take all the information nice and slow. It wasn't a race. And that's the other thing. It was not a race. I don't know how many times I had to say, this is your journey. You don't want to do it that way? What's your comfort zone? Here's 2 options. How do you feel? Which one resonates with you right now? She's in the driver's seat. Mm-hmm. I'm just there to drink the maple syrup.
She's just there to drink the maple syrup. And I love for Tessa, like, you know, because you came off the birth control, and if anyone's listened to the birth control episode, they know I talk, I should say we, Chris and I, we're a team.
No, Katie, birth controlling Katie.
Chris and Minerals.
Yes.
Well, with the birth control, we know Tessa, right? It's depleting your body of key nutrients. And then that in conjunction with your history of disordered eating, we know we're going to be devoid of nutrients. There's going to be an increase in inflammation with the history of the pill. And again, the disordered eating can like just set that perfect stage. We will use that for you, the perfect stage for an imbalance in your gut microbiome. Your detox pathways are going to get sluggish. Your hormones are going to be all out of whack because you've been taking, as Chris says, the estrogen pill for so long, and you have that high stress level. So there's going to be some blood sugar instability. Mm-hmm. And when we look at that journey that you took with us, this is exactly the things we had to do, right? You came in and we had to reduce that inflammation and at the same time be replenishing with a lot of antioxidants, you know, a lot of minerals that you were missing. And we had to take this in stages because your journey with us, it wasn't a quick one, right? You know, you started with us in July and we did work well until the like, how many months was that? It was like a full year that we were doing a number of different things with you in order to recalibrate your body. Because after we got that inflammation, we went right into intensive gut microbiome rebalancing because of that history of the birth control pill, which is going to be altering that. And then we're going into, you know, really deep metabolic level detoxification. We're going after your liver, your lymph, your kidneys. And we did that with some really lovely like homeopathics as well. And then after all of that work, which Tessa, how many months was that? That was probably already 4 or 5 months into the program at that point. Mm-hmm. All of that work. And that's finally when we were able to start on your hormones, which for you, I have this question, you know, coming off of the pill, did you have it in your head that, oh my God, I have hormonal acne. This is all my hormones.
Oh yeah. 100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, oh yeah, I understand.
Yeah. I have hormonal acne, but the fact that we didn't even go after your like hormonal balance until month 5 or 6, because there's so much prep work that was needed for you. And then we were able to go in and start rebalancing those estrogen levels for you. And then of course, Chris was like, okay, I think we might have some histamine issues going on. I think there might be some oxalate issues going on. And then even after all of that work, we did another deep dive into your gut. And then further, I think it was almost around the 1 year mark when I can, because we can see it in your file, the 1 year mark, it's stress management is the title of that protocol that we went after, because you were finally ready to work on that stress management and blood sugar stability. And I wanted to share all of the things we had to work on so that everyone listening can see it's not an overnight journey. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take a probiotic and eat salads for 4 months and my skin clears up. Like there is some work that needs to be done. And there's levels, Chris, right? That needs to be done in a certain way. And this is Tessa's journey. This isn't every single client's journey. This is Tessa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, I think Chris used the words a lot. She said I was hanging out. So I hung out in the program for a little bit longer, which was a conscious choice that I made. But truthfully, the reason behind that is because I started to realize probably halfway through the journey that something was happening beyond what I had signed up for, which was that this team was the first in my entire life to help me heal a deep issue that I had in terms of my relationship with food. I was someone who truly for 20 years of my life was not feeding my body at all. I was not putting that as a priority in any sense. I was really, really severely depriving myself on a daily basis and felt like that was just what I needed to do to look the way that I wanted to look. And I started to recognize that I knew what I could feed myself that was supportive of my health, that made me feel good, but I didn't have to sacrifice feeling comfortable in my skin at the same time. And now I feel like I walked out of this program, although my diet is a little bit different than it used to be. There are certain things I avoid by my own choice because I realize that makes me feel better. But I walked away with what I feel is more food freedom than I've ever had in my entire life. I understand so deeply what foods are supportive of my body and what makes me feel good and look the way that I want to look, but I am not deprived in any sense at all. And that was a crazy realization for me because I had never gone and gotten official treatment for this sickness that I was dealing with for over half of my life. And this program is what did it for me. It just, as I said, it was a natural process, but I just started to develop that deeper respect. So I wanted to hang out in this program because this program was doing way more than I had signed up for. And I know people come in with all different histories and all different symptoms that they're dealing with. So their experience may look very different. I think mine is an example of that. I just am someone who came in and got several different things resolved in the process, but it was hard for me to tear myself away from Chris Brown because she didn't understand what she was doing for my life. So yeah,
another compliment, Chris.
To this.
Another compliment from the
lovely
lovely
that just
Tessa.
shows right there. That's exactly what we're talking about. Commitment over control. When we realize we don't have to control, when we control, we're out of control. The more we're out of control, the more we control. Right? You should see me when I'm stressed. My house is pristine,
spotless.
That is
clean.
my stress. Yeah, right.
Rage clean.
And the thing is for a solid 8 months, we didn't shift a ton of foods on Tessa. Right? We were able to get in and nurture with some supplements. And then one day Tessa came to me and she's like, Chris, I'm ready. I want to do the whole shebang. I want to do it like I hear everybody else is doing it. And I said, no. She's like, what do you mean? What do you mean no? I said,
nope.
The answer's no. Why? And I said, because it's not that. You can't. The fact is, are you truly ready? Or is this something you feel that you need to control? Mm-hmm. We still massaged 2 more months and she did a lot. She was like, okay, I'm open, whatever it needs to take. So we worked on mindset for 2 months. Mindset was just going through. And then she did it. She did a full protocol, rocked it out, 0 food aversions, deprivation.
Amazing.
However, guess what? This is her journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once we, please, everybody listening, just know that if somebody says no, it's not because they don't think you can do it. It's the fact is they appreciate that it's not quite where you are in your journey yet. And rushing that could have really done a lot of harm to the psyche of all the stuff she's put forward. Mm-hmm. So is it worth it? Not in my books, right?
And it was such a beautiful, incredible journey that you had, Tessa. And I love for you that, you came in for skin, but you got so much more out of it than you anticipated. And you did stick around. And we actually love when clients stick around because they're like, my skin's cleared, but I love it here so much. I just want to hang out. And you took it a step further and you're like, I want to join your team. Like, can I come? And I love for you that this was such an empowering journey that you wanted to be able to empower other women as well.
I really did. I developed a really strong passion for this work through my experience of living it myself. And the reason I signed up for this program was that I listened to the person on the other end of the call, who was Paige at the time, telling me about her experience in the program. Mm-hmm. That really resonated. And that was what got my attention, and I believe the words of somebody who has lived this themselves, who understands what I've been dealing with to some extent for a long period of time, who felt that pain and did something about it and had great success through trusting this team. I really chose to take a leap of faith after hearing that information from her, and I wanted to believe it for myself. And I am living proof of the fact that this works if you are willing to put the work in yourself. And I feel like I was not someone who easily made the choice to invest in myself and in my health, but I somehow just knew that this was going to be that game changer. I could just feel it. And I put the work in because I really believed in it. And I really want to be a part of helping other people to find the answers that they've been looking for a really long time, because I was that person and I stood in that exact spot. And I know what it feels like to feel really hopeless and like you're just kind of spinning your wheels and trying everything and you're not having any kind of success that you want. And you're surrounded by people who can't empathize with what it is that you're dealing with, because they can eat whatever they want and they're not having these issues, or at least you don't know about the issues that they're dealing with. So I wanted to be a part of this work because I really believe in it. I know that it works, and I know that it can completely change your life. I walked out a different person than I was when I came in. So I'm so grateful to be here and to help other people.
And we are so grateful to you. Like, this was such an incredible chat. And I think just listening to you speak has been so empowering for so many listening, because you've been so open and vulnerable with your story. And other women listening can, I'm sure, see themselves in you and the words that you've had to share today. So thank you so much, Tessa, for coming on today. I love that you were here to kick off our new series, and I can't wait to continue to watch your journey with us unfold over the coming months. So thank you so much, Tessa.
Thank you both.
Yay. All right, you guys, that was another episode here on the Clear Skin Chronicles. Join us next week because we are talking how to navigate summer socials. Oh, and before we go, today, when this is airing, is actually Tessa's birthday. So how beautiful did that line up, where she got to share her story and have it air on her birthday. So Tessa, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Clear Skin Chronicles.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.